Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a genuinely fascinating excerpt from Eng's Notes on Gardening. It was published just yesterday, April 30th, 2026. And let me tell you, this is not just your standard botanical profile of a pretty plant. It's actually a really profound philosophical lesson about observation, our environment, and ultimately, knowing yourself. So let's walk through Eng's incredibly relatable journey, from that initial spark of attraction to a pretty unexpected final decision.
You know, every great discovery usually starts with a slight change of plans, doesn't it? Well, our source author, Eng, was on an unplanned detour to some local plant nurseries. Now, the original goal was completely routine. Eng was just taking the opportunity to scout for new plant species to evaluate for potential propagation. It was really supposed to be a completely standard scouting trip. But, as it happens, this unplanned detour is exactly where a striking, totally unexpected discovery stopped Eng right in their tracks.
Section 1. The Lily Imposter, Unmasking the Agapanthus.
So there is this brilliant contradiction right in the definition of this plant. It's commonly known as the lily-of-the-nile. But here's the catch. From a botanical standpoint, it is not actually a true lily at all. Locals simply gave it that name because of some physical similarities. It's an imposter in name, sure, but absolutely not in beauty. I mean, just picture this, and you can easily visualize exactly why this gorgeous specimen immediately demanded Eng's attention. You've got these incredible, striking clusters of lavender-blue petals forming beautiful trumpet-shaped flowers, and it's all framed by these vibrant, long-green leaves. It's exactly the kind of visual allure that naturally draws literally any gardener in. You can completely understand that immediate impulse to just scoop up a specimen for evaluation.
Moving on to Section 2. The Propagation Problem, the Test of Patience. Now, once the initial excitement settles down, you run into the biological dilemma of the Agapanthus. Eng looked into two distinct paths forward for propagating it. On one hand, you have division, which is absolutely the fastest way to multiply the plant if you want to move forward quickly. On the other hand, you have growing from seeds. And let me tell you, growing this specific species from seed is nothing short of a massive test of patience.
2 to 3. According to Eng's reading, that is the number of years it takes just to see a single bloom, if you choose to grow it from a seed. Imagine that. The soil preparation, the daily care, and then just waiting up to 3 entire years before you are finally rewarded with those trumpet-shaped lavender-blue flowers.
That multi-year waiting period, that's a huge biological tell. It means we are dealing with a slow-growing perennial. And because of this reality, the source text explicitly concludes that seed propagation is simply not a viable method for the impatient gardener. The biological nature of this stunning perennial demands a level of long-term commitment that, quite frankly, not everyone possesses or even wants to invest in a single plant. Which brings us to our final section, Section 3, the gardener's intuition, knowing when to walk away. Now, if you've been following along, you'd probably expect an eager botanist to immediately buy the plant, right? Knowing they could just use division to completely bypass that slow seed process. You discover a breathtaking flower, you research how to grow it, and then you walk away? Yep. Despite all the intrigue, Eng left the nursery that day without a single specimen.
So why walk away? Well, it all comes down to a really profound realization. Eng writes, I've developed a gut feeling about which species will actually thrive in my specific gardening style and microclimate. After many moons immersed in gardening, there's this distinct shift that happens. You stop relying purely on scientific evaluation, and you start trusting your hard-earned intuitive experience over a plant's sheer immediate beauty.
Basically, Eng's intuition signaled that the Agapanthus just wouldn't thrive under their care. And this is the core takeaway of our explainer today. True wisdom is recognizing that not every beautiful thing belongs in your specific environment. You can admire those trumpet-shaped flowers all day long, but deep experience tells you when your unique microclimate and your personal style just aren't the right match. So I want to conclude this explainer by leaving you with this really provocative thought to chew on. What beautiful thing is your intuition telling you to walk away from? Eng's detour to the nursery wasn't just about finding the lily-of-the-nile. It was an exercise in listening to that inner gut feeling. Take a moment today to ponder your own personal microclimates, whether that's your workspace, your relationships, or just your daily habits. Consider what your hard-earned experience is quietly urging you to leave behind, no matter how striking it might look on the surface. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this one.